2022 has just ended, and before I start looking ahead at 2023 and all it has to offer, I'd like to take a few minutes and look back on my favorite new series that came out in 2022. 2022 was a glorious year for manga readers and collectors, and what I'll be sharing today is only a small fraction of what came out. I could go all day about how mighty the releases have been, but that would take too long, so I'll focus on my favorites. So with that being said, let's get into it. Before we get started though, I'd like to welcome you to MangAnalysis, where I do little videos about the manga I've been reading. If you like what you've seen and would like to see more, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. Maybe even leave a comment. Let's get a conversation going. I just want to mention before going in that for a series to have made this list, the first volume had to come out in 2022, which makes me sad because I was convinced that Kaiju number 8 came out in 2022, but it came out in December 2021. I just really wanted an extra reason to talk about that series, but here we are. Okay, so first, we got Senseis Pious Lie. Senseis Pious Lie is a series that started and completed in 2022, which is pretty neat. It's a heavy story that follows Misuzu, a teacher who's been sexually assaulted in the past, as she forms a bond with a student who's just recently been sexually assaulted himself. The series, while clumsy at times, does a great job at delivering an impactful story of redemption, self-acceptance, and provides a good enough look at a world full of misogyny, toxic masculinity, and how that can have a nefarious impact on those around them. While I was hoping this series to be something else, I find myself satisfied with what it was, and to those looking to peer into the dark world of abuse and toxic masculinity, I encourage you to pick this one up. Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible is one of my favorite new series of the year because it's a beautiful blend of Komi Can't Communicate and Don't Toy With Me Miss Nagatoro, which are also two of my favorite series ever. The story follows Shiraishi, a quiet boy so unremarkable that no one notices him. Literally, it's to the point where people almost walk over him. However, there is one who notices him, and that's Kubo. She's a mischievous girl who, by picking on him slightly, is slowly bringing him out of his shell and maybe, just maybe, making him a little more recognizable. This series is really funny, really cute, and has what Komi lacked in the first half of its story: romance. I love me a good romance, and Kubo has plenty to give. This series is an easy pick for this list. Welcome Back, Alice. It wouldn't be a good year in manga without a new series from the mad lad himself, Shuzo Oshimi. Welcome Back, Alice is a story that dares the question, what is gender and what is sexuality? Kind of. The story starts with a fun little love triangle. Boy likes girl, girl likes other boy, and other boy might like boy. All this becomes clear when the other boy comes back years later, but this time as a woman. Kind of. Okay, the reason I keep saying kind of is because what is depicted visually is clearly a story about questioning gender and sexuality, but what is said is a little more vague. For example, the other boy comes back looking like a woman, but it's unclear whether or not they're trans, bisexual, or maybe they're even just gay, trying to seduce the boy they like. The author mentioned in another series of his, Inside Mari, that he questioned his own gender and identity once before, and I feel like this could be a continuation of that. The only thing I will say is while Inside Mari, and even another favorite of mine, Blue Flag, dealt with gender and sexuality subtly and gracefully, Welcome Back, Alice goes pretty hardcore right off the bat. If you're not into nudity, sex, or crass language, this might not be for you, cause there's lots of that. Blue Lock. Oh, Blue Lock, how I wanted to not like you. So, fun thing about me, I suck at soccer, and I hate it. I don't even really like sports manga. Well, I used to not, but then Haikyuu showed me the way and I find myself a little bit more accepting now. And I fully accept Blue Lock despite my hatred for soccer. Blue Lock has a fun spin on the whole sports thing, where usually they're all about friendship and teamwork and rainbows. Blue Lock and its characters are all about being number one individuals and are encouraged to be selfish, which is actually super fun to read. The story follows the best strikers in Japan as they are brought into a facility to breed the best player. Not players, player. It's like a soccer battle royale, except if you lose, you don't die, you just don't get to play soccer anymore. I'm really enjoying this series so far. While the stakes are objectively not terribly high on the large scale, they do feel immense to these characters, and you really do believe them when they say their lives would be over without soccer. The art is absolutely stellar, and while not all characters have been given their chance to shine the way I would have liked them to so far, I'm hoping that it'll get that eventually. And I'm really happy to say that you do not need to enjoy sports, or soccer for that matter, to get hooked with this series. I am living proof. Tokyo Revengers. Tokyo Revengers, another series I didn't want to like, but I love it now. It's a very good series. If it was a dog, I'd say it was a good boy. Well, all dogs are good boys, but you know what I mean. Tokyo Revengers follows Takemichi, a nobody who has to go back in time to save his middle school girlfriend after she dies due to being involved in a gang feud. Yeah, I know. But listen, it's sick, okay? Everything is really dramatic and over the top, from these middle schoolers' muscles and their tattoos to their incredible fighting prowess to their reactions to pretty mundane things happening. It's dramatic, but it's really fun, and it keeps you coming back. Yes, it's silly, but it's convincing. Somehow it really is. Also, the time travel aspect is actually really well done. It doesn't spend too much time diving into the science of it or anything, so it doesn't really give itself room to screw it up. And not once does it mention the word quantum, so that's a plus. Easy recommendation for me, and an even easier pick for this list. Dandedan has perhaps the wackiest and funnest first volume of a series I've ever read, ever. Kaiju number 8 may have my favorite first volume, but Dandedan comes in at a close second with one I'll surely never forget. In a good way. Dandedan follows Momo, a girl who believes in ghosts and spirits, and Ken, a boy obsessed with aliens and UFOs. One day they're arguing about whether or not their personal beliefs are real and challenge each other to go prove the other wrong. Of course, they're both right, and Momo gets abducted by aliens and develops cool psychokinetic powers, and Ken gets possessed by a penis-eating spirit and becomes essentially a half-demon, which is just as wild as it sounds. But together, they'll go on adventures and do some crazy things. This series so far has made me laugh, it's made me really excited, it's mystified me, and it's made me question my sanity, and more importantly, it's made me want more. I'm absolutely loving it so far, and if the synopsis interests you even a little bit, I implore you to go read it. It's super fun. Blue Box. Finally, we have Blue Box. This is a series I had been looking forward to for a long time, and while it's not necessarily what I thought it was going to be, it's still quite awesome, and I'm super excited to keep reading it. The story follows Taiki, a badminton player who has a one-sided crush on his senpai and basketball team MVP, Shinatsu. One day they get talking and he's feeling really good about it and he's excited, only to find out she's going to be living with him and his family. Uh-oh, what crazy shenanigans awaits those two? Okay, so straight up, the whole girl moves into your house without your parents telling you about it trope is not one I typically enjoy. It's just, no, it doesn't make sense. However, so far so good. It's doing a great job of avoiding the usual trappings of that trope, and it's all better for it. One thing I will say, I hope it doesn't go full Suzuka on me. For those who don't know, Suzuka is a series about two track stars falling in love, and once the love thing was accomplished, the track segment was thrown out the window, which killed me because I love track and field. So I'm hoping that these two characters who are really into their sport can develop their relationship without pushing the sports aspect to the side. Yeah, I know, I said I didn't love sports manga earlier, but I do love badminton, and I want my boy Taiki to make it to nationals. Before I move on to one-shots and single-volume series, I wanted to give a quick shout-out to Imaginary. The reason it's not an official selection is because it only really has one book out. I made a whole video about this series and what I thought, and I'll say it again here, it's very good, very entertaining, and I can't wait for more. I just would like to at least read one more book before I solidify it as one of the best new series of 2022. So yeah, next I want to mention 3 one-shot, one-book series that came out in 2022 that I thought were really amazing. There are tons more out there, but these 3 are the ones I want to share with you today. Look Back. Look Back is a short story about 2 friends making manga together, and it's very sweet, very sad, and you know what? Quite wholesome. And I can't. It's just wonderful. A beautiful little story about friendship and hard work. There's way more to it than that, and honestly, one could just spend hours talking about this book's intricacies, but I'll leave it at that. If it means anything to you, it's written and drawn by Tatsuki Fujimoto, the guy who has given us Chainsaw Man, so expect some level of weird stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty grounded. Look Back. Perfect little book. Josie the Tiger and the Fish. Josie the Tiger and the Fish has to be one of the most beautiful pieces of manga I've ever read. Yes, the story's awesome, the characters are great, blah blah blah, but the art is mesmerizing. I don't know what it is, like I've read other series drawn by Naoimoto, and while I always loved the art, it never hit me the way this one has. The story follows Josie, a young paraplegic woman, and her new caretaker, Tsuneo, as they both do their best to get a better handle on their lives. Josie seeks independence while being afraid of the outside world, and Tsuneo is doing his best to save money to go work studying fish in Mexico. They develop an awesome relationship, and I'm all here for it. I will say, while I think the book is awesome, I have no qualms recommending the movie. It's absolutely stunning and a wonderful way to experience the story. Avantgarde Yumiko. Finally, we have Avantgarde Yumiko. Listen, this is actually not that great. It might even ruin your day, but I can't close 2022 without talking about this one at least once. Written and drawn by Shuzo Oshimi, of course, Avantgarde Yumiko tells the story of a young girl named Yumiko as she strives to meet her goal, see a penis. Along her quest, she attempts to look at books and whatnot, but decides the real thing would be best. She then goes to the art club and asks the sole member to model for her. Oh boy. It's a super wacky story with barely any substance and totally clearly written by a man, but it made me laugh. A lot. And I suppose it might make you laugh too, so ew. Well, those were my favorite new series of 2022. If you missed out on any of these and you were kind of into what I had to say about them, then I highly recommend you check them out. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What are your favorite new series of 2022? Did I mention any of them here? Did I miss any? Please let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and if you did indeed enjoy it, consider subscribing. This was MangAnalysis, and I'll see you in the next one.